Hello and welcome to Jackson's Job. This is the place where things can and often go wrong while baking. You'll see how to fix recipes when things go upside down and how to avoid those common mistakes. Let's learn how to bake a raspberry lemonade Swiss roll. Here are the ingredients you'll need if you want to follow along. Please preheat your oven to 375 degrees Fahrenheit or 190 degrees Celsius, and let's get started. You'll want to line with parchment paper or grease and flour a 9 by 13 or 23 by 33 centimeter pan. I like to use a cake pan. You can use a jelly roll pan, but I've found a cake pan works a lot better. Whichever one you want to choose, you just want to make sure you line it or grease and flour it well. I do recommend you use the parchment paper because it just makes your life a lot easier when it comes to making Swiss rolls. Next, you want to zest a lemon, and I like to zest it directly into the sugar so that when you're done, you'll have 1 teaspoon of zest, 2 grams, and you'll have it in your sugar, which is 1/3 of a cup or 67 grams. Mix it together well and it will really infuse the lemon flavor throughout your cake. Set that aside and then you're going to juice your lemon. If you roll the lemon with the palm of your hand, it'll break up those fibers and make it easier to juice. A typical lemon will give you around 3 tablespoons of juice or about 45 milliliters. I like to use a juicer because it really does get all that juice out of the lemon. Next, we're going to combine 1/2 cup of flour, 75 grams, and to that we're going to add 1/2 teaspoon of baking powder, 2 grams, and 1/4 teaspoon of salt, 1.25 grams. Now, if you wanted to, you could use self-rising flour, just omit the baking powder and salt. In a large bowl, we are going to mix together our eggs and our sugar until they are quadruple in size and nice and fluffy. Go ahead and dump the sugar in all at once and start beating this on a medium speed. This will take 5 to 10 minutes, maybe longer, depending on how cold your eggs are. Room temperature eggs will speed up this process. Once they are nice and fluffy, add in 1 tablespoon of the lemon juice, 15 milliliters, and then all of that flour mixture. And using a whisk, I like to run it around the outside and through the middle so that I don't cut out all that air I just created until I no longer see any more flour, and it's a really nice thick batter like this. Now just pour this evenly into your cake pan. You can use the back of a spoon or a spatula or an offset spatula to get it even. Tap out any air bubbles and then bake this 8 to 10 minutes. While that is baking, you want a clean towel and you want to generously sprinkle it with 2 tablespoons of powdered sugar, 16 grams. You can use more if you want. Just make sure that you have it well covered. You want a lint-free towel and make sure it is clean and make sure you don't have any fabric softeners on it. I like to wash it with just ordinary soap from the sink and then hang it dry. Then you're going to remove the cake and loosen the sides. If it's a non-stick pan, please don't use a metal utensil. This is not a non-stick surface, so I'm not concerned about it. It's a very cheap pan. Once you have it loosened, you're going to turn it upside down. Well, you're gonna try to get it evenly, but sometimes life happens and you do what I do. So alley-oop, we're just gonna put it right back where it's supposed to be. Then you're gonna peel off that parchment paper carefully and try not to go too fast or you'll rip the cake to shreds. While the cake is still warm, we're gonna try to roll this up. If it's too warm for you, just let it sit a few moments and then try to roll again. Don't burn yourself. Roll it up gently yet firmly and go slowly. The slower you go, the less likely you are to have cracks. And then after you get it rolled up, you want to put it onto a cooling rack and let it cool completely before you go on to the next step. It's going to take about an hour for one of these cakes to cool down. In the meantime, get your butter softened by putting it to room temperature. You want a really soft butter like this. You need a 1/2 cup of butter, 113 grams. You want to mix it until it's nice and smooth. And obviously you can use a hand or stand mixer here. I'm just using my spoon because I was too lazy to get out the mixer and wash it again. Next, you want to add 1 to 2 tablespoons of lemon juice. That's 15 to 30 milliliters. I like to go ahead and add the whole amount in there because I really want this cake to taste like lemon. Beat it in, and then you're going to add in your powdered sugar a little bit at a time. You want a cup of powdered sugar, 125 grams. Now, if you put too much in, you're going to make a mess like I'm doing, so I recommend only putting a few tablespoons at a time and then mixing it up. And you might want to use a bigger bowl than I'm doing. Then your cake is cooled, and we're going to gently unroll it. As you unroll it, don't rush this step again. If you rush it, you're going to break your cake. The cake will want to naturally roll back up on you, and that is perfect. Scrape out all that frosting we just made, and then you're going to spread it out. If you have an offset spatula, that is perfect because it'll really help you get into those nooks and crannies. If not, use the back of a spoon. Now you want to spread this out evenly, and you want to keep a gap on one of the short ends, the one furthest from the roll part. That way when you roll it up, you don't get it to ooze out all over the edges. About an inch, 2.5 centimeters is good, but sometimes you need a little bit more or a little bit less. And unfortunately for me, I should have created a bigger gap, and you'll see why in just a second. Next, we're gonna add on that raspberry preserves. And you can make these yourself, or you can just buy them in a jar. 1/4 cup of raspberry jam or preserves, 76 grams. Spread it out evenly, and again, leave a gap on the other edge. Roll this up slowly and gently so that you don't break the cake, and then get some plastic wrap, or you can even use a bag or a container. You want to chill it until the frosting is firm. At least 20 minutes, overnight is best. And as you can see, that jelly oozed out on the edge. I should have stopped it a little bit shorter, but that's okay. The towel will wash off. Just make sure you rinse it off right away so it doesn't stain your towel. Sometimes life happens in the kitchen. What can I say? So it has been overnight. I'm going to remove it from the fridge, unwrap it, and then I'm going to cover the top with some powdered sugar. These cakes tend to become sticky overnight because they absorb all that sugar that was on top of the towel, and that's perfectly normal. The powdered sugar helps combat that. But the great thing about it is it means this cake is going to be super delicious and tender when you eat it. Cut off the edges. They never look as pretty. But when you cut off that second piece, you're going to get this fabulous little swirl. I mean, look at it. It's absolutely beautiful. This is a very pleasant and cheerful cake to eat. I hope you enjoyed this recipe. Thank you for watching, and as always, happy baking.